broadcast for shooters, hunters, and gun enthusiasts. This is the Firearms Radio Network. The bandwidth for this episode of Gun Guy Radio is sponsored by Patriot Patch Company. PatriotPatch.co.
Welcome to episode 202 of Gun Guy Radio. This is a podcast that shines a positive light on the firearms lifestyle. I'm your host, Chick Challen. This is your weekly dose of positive firearms talk without the politics. And this week we have a great panel. I'm going to go through the week in review here with the new format of Gun Guy Radio. And it might be a little different for YouTube since you're This Week in Guns alumni, where we talk politics all the time, but no politics on this show. So Natalie Foster of Girls Guide to Guns and Love at First Shots. Hey, Natalie.
Hey, Jake. So good to be with two of my favorites. This is a very, very fun night. And yes, I will try very hard to stay away from politics. Promise. Cross my heart.
Ebs, House of Guns and House of Arms. Hey, Ebs.
Hey, we're not talking politics at all?
Not at all. Are you disappointed?
Well, I understand, the new format thing, but I guess I can manage. If we actually finally just get to talk about shooting, then I'm all over it.
Well, speaking of shooting, did you guys do anything firearms gun related in the last few weeks, Natalie?
I did, actually. I just got a new concealed carry license, a new state's concealed carry license. I just went through all of it, the rigmarole that you have to do. And I always think it's a good experience. And I try to acquire as many licenses as I can, just, because you never know. That ever-shifting, chessboard that is the concealed carry just realm, right? So I kind of collect them. It's always good to go through it, to know the different laws for the different states. And also, every time you take a class, you really experience somebody else's perspective, and you take something away from every single experience. So and apply that to others, especially if we all if you're an experienced gun person, you end up teaching somebody, right? And so you apply those things to that later on down the line. So it was good to get back in saddle with concealed carry.
Natalie, I'm just thinking you need to broadcast from your location every week, because
seriously, it's off the chain.
Yeah, it's true. I know. How many times have I had to say, dude, I can't do the show this week. I haven't got signal.
We're looking at like a leopard at 10 o'clock.
Right there.
I think that's a leopard, right?
Right.
And then there's a giraffe over her other shoulder.
A Cape buffalo right over her head. Oh yeah, we can see very clearly.
Right there.
Oh
Yeah. This is a legit room. This is one of my favorite rooms in the whole wide world, actually. I love it. It's kind of very zen for me.
It's sort of
ironically.
like a whiskey room.
Yeah.
Please come and sample aged single barrel whiskeys of the West.
I know, and it actually does have a special ventilation system for smoke, for like cigar smoke, though it's never put into use. But yes,
goodness.
and there are plenty of options for the whiskey tasting. Should you like to partake, you guys got to come down sometime.
Yeah,
totally. So, Ebs,
but for now, it'll just be coffee. There is no whiskey in this.
Right.
That we know.
So, Ebs, last week or two, have you done anything gun related?
So because I talk about it on This Week in Guns all the time, I'm totally ate up with NFA stuff. So the can't haves, the have me nots, things that are kind of unobtainium until you learn how to do the stamp and you get the patience to be able to do that. And then I've managed to find my way as an employee onto a Class 3 FFL SOT, so I can have things in my hands earlier while stamps are pending and stuff like that. So I'm waiting on Liberty's new Centurion pistol can. It's a 9mm. It's kind of like it's basically like they took the Mystic X and the Cosmic, which is their multi-caliber. So rifle, centerfire, rimfire, everything that has different adapters you can put on it to to shoot it on whatever you want, and they shrunk it down so it's like 6 inches, but it takes the same adapters. So if you've already got adapters, and it's like the price point for it's like $600. So I'm waiting on that, but I've been shooting the Knights Armament CQB 5.56 suppressor on my Mark 12 clone that I'm building, which is a trying to.
Do you know how I feel so sorry for anybody who's a beginner listening to you right now? Like, they are totally lost.
I know, it's terrible. I was getting ready to explain, actually. I was going to say, like, if you've seen movies, if you've seen movies like Zero Dark 30 and stuff like that, where you see these guys that it would be called like a commando gun, like a commando M4. So you see like a standard AR-15. So I'm going to use the most generic term that has the ribbed handguard with the triangle front sight base and then the barrel sticking out past. Take that from a 16-inch barrel, shrink it down to a 10.5-inch barrel, so it's hyper lightweight and really maneuverable. And then even with the suppressor put on the end of that, it's actually shorter than the overall length of a full rifle. So I mean, and then you don't have to wear earmuffs. It's still loud, but it's hearing safe. So while it's loud, you don't have to worry about doing damage to your hearing. And man, it's so smooth and so fun. And then I've been shooting my agency arms Glock 43, little concealed carry Glock, quite a bit more because I got my BP tactical holster for it with the new light. So before I only had regular holsters, no light. Now I've got that one, so I've been working with that a little bit more.
Very cool. Everyone's a little bit jealous right now.
Well, dude, when you say, have you done any shooting in the last 2 weeks, it's like, just take your pick, man, because we can go from the pistols to the stuff that has Natalie and everyone else confused to the boring single-shot old man guns and fantastic, strange calibers.
Just stop.
I mean, hey.
I don't know why I even ask you. So the biggest thing I did in guns was I had to. Today was technically tax day, and so I had to stand in line at the post office forever and get that stamp for the postmark. And before doing that, I had to park all the way down the street, disarm, walk into the post office, stand there for an hour, disarmed, and that was fun. Not really.
A lot of danger.
On tax day, actually, if anybody's going to go postal.
Right.
That's the day,
Do you remember the 90s when that was kind of like a household term, going postal? And now you never hear it anymore.
Is it not still? I think it's still.
I don't think so. I never hear it ever.
So besides that, I've been working a lot on Patriot Patch. I have a lot of new patches coming out, a lot of new shirts. We're really diving into the shirt game even more. Just released, 4 or 5 new designs. So trying to get all those done for the machine gun shoot coming up here in Pennsylvania. The end of April here. Quick plug for it. Hope to see you out there April 31st and May 1st, I believe. That Saturday, Sunday weekend.
Let's see the T-shirt you got on right now.
So yeah, this is the AK-47 one we currently have.
Does it come with a fancy undershirt also?
No, undershirt is separate.
Okay, yeah. That's kind of a drag.
Yeah, it's not all that fancy. But,
in Russia,
undershirt theme shirt coming out, a Banana Mag shirt. So check that out. PatriotPatch.co. Quick plug for it, I guess. But Amazon, shop our Amazon affiliate link if you like This Week in Guns and Gun Guy Radio, firearmsradio.tv/Amazon. If I keep saying This Week in Guns, someone slap me.
It's because we always do This Week in Guns.
Yeah.
I've never done Gun Guy Radio.
Oh, well.
Yeah. I mean, I'm stoked to be here.
We'll have to change that.
It's funny, Natalie. Jake hasn't done Gun Guy Radio in a long time either.
Yeah.
Zinger!
But we're back.
But 202 episodes, I mean, it is impressive.
It's one of the longest running pro gun podcasts. So it's probably in the top 5 or 6 or something. There's not very many pro gun podcasts that have had this many episodes. But, I owe it to the team at the Firearms Radio Network, and especially Ryan Machad for taking the reins for the last year, keeping it going.
Is it awkward that the show is called Gun Guy Radio, but Natalie is on, and she is most definitely not a guy?
I'm not a guy.
It's not awkward at all. You trying to make it awkward?
I think as long as the host is a guy, like if I guest hosted, that would be awkward. A little awkward.
I don't even think it would be that awkward because
maybe not.
We throw the word guy around like, hey, what do you think, guys? And that can be even a whole group of girls or mixed company or whatever. So I feel like it's a pretty metrosexual term.
Well, okay, for a dude maybe, but in Texas we have a solution for that, and it is just simply y'all. But then that doesn't float. Y'all, gun y'all radio. There's, yeah.
Ewans.
You need that's very Pennsylvanian of you.
Is it really? Like,
yeah, Ohio, Pennsylvania.
Ewans, like Pennsyltucky.
All right, moving on here to the main topic. I want to shoot my first gun. Last week, if you missed it, it was I want to buy my first gun. So we're doing a series of episodes here, kind of geared towards the brand new gun guy, gun gal. Last week we talked about the purchase. This week, I got the new blaster. Now what do I do?
Blaster.
Things to consider first. Safety, right? Know the manual of arms of your weapon. Let's pause on that one for a second. Know your manual of arms of your weapon. Abs, what does that mean to you?
So, manual of arms is basically the method of operation or kind of the how-to manual of your firearm. So, if you're brand new to guns, a lot of folks probably just think that put the ammo in here, pull the trigger here, and all guns are the same. But that's like saying that all cars on the road are the same, or, relative to the tool, they do have same basic principles. All automobiles have an accelerator, a gas pedal of some sort, or a steering wheel to determine direction, or anything like that. And so, with a gun, whether it be a pistol, rifle, shotgun, anything like that, you're going to have a trigger. Some are going to have a safety. A lot of handguns don't anymore, but there's going to be different methods of loading it. If it's let's take a revolver, for instance, which is like a snubby nose pistol, or even a long barrel like a Ruger Security 6, or like a Smith & Wesson 686 or Ruger GP 100 or something like that. There's a cylinder, and that with a slide button pops out, and there's a little gate that slides over, and then you drop the rounds in. If you're talking about an automatic or an auto loader, and let's just say Glock, because that's the most commonly probably referred to, at least by rappers anyway, you're going to take the slide, which is the moving part on top, and you can lock that back or even leave it shut, slide the magazine in, and then you have to charge the firearm. You have to rack the slide in order to get a round in the chamber. And the chamber is basically the staging point for the cartridge to enter into, be secured. It's able to withstand the pressure of that round going off. And then sometimes you have a safety, and safeties are in different places on all guns. And sometimes there's not. If you take a Glock and you rack that slide and it's locked up, then you pull that trigger, it's ready to rock and roll. So, but rifles especially always have a safety in one way or another. And some rifles, it's called a fire selector, like an AR-15, because originally when the M16 came out, it was select fire, which means you could choose to fire one shot or many rounds based on where the safety was pointed. And so they're all different, and the manual of arms is basically how it works. That was Jake. That was the longest answer I think I possibly could have given for the question.
No,
I know.
No,
I feel like that was a mic drop. I just need to walk away because it's pretty amazing. Actually, wow. Very well done, Ebbs. I would just add too. I mean, you said everything that I would well, you said way more than I would ever have known to say. But I would also say that specifically the car thing, right? Anytime you get in a car, think about anytime you've ever rented a car, right? You have to adjust the mirror. You have to kind of look around and get your bearings for a second, and whether it's a stick shift or do you call them automatics? Automatic transmission. Yes. Okay. Anyway.
What do they call it in Texas?
I don't know. The Jeep, the hunting Jeep. Anyway, but all that to say that it's true, the brake, the emergency brake may be in different places, that kind of thing. That it's the same thing with your gun. You with every gun that you pick up. I think the mark to me, and I was guilty of this when I first started, the mark to me of a person who really doesn't know what they're doing is acting like they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
So if they pick up a gun and they're like, yeah, I got this, whatever, and like if you see any air of arrogance whatsoever, then that person doesn't have a clue, and back away slowly. Seriously, like I would say that every person that I know that really knows and understands guns. Now they may obviously be extremely familiar, like Ebbs and Jake, with these various platforms, but they're still going to look at all the bells and whistles, and that's what the big excitement is at every SHOT Show or every gun show. Looking at the old guns, the new guns, whatever. People are picking it up, figuring out all the machining, the mechanics, how it's different, and how to use it properly. And the other thing that I would add too is that in terms of the manual safety, you never ever want to rely on that. And maybe I'm jumping the gun here. We can, pun intended, if we want to talk about that in a little bit, we can. But you are the primary safety, not the gun's safety.
Yes.
Well, let's dive into the 4 rules of gun safety. I think that's something we all need to be very familiar with and continue to go back to, especially if you're taking a new shooter to the range or you're introducing someone to guns for the first time. Most of us go by the 4 rules. There's other versions of this, but it goes, all guns are always loaded, and treat them that way. Never point the gun at anything you're not willing to destroy. Keep your finger off the trigger until your sights are on target and you've made the decision to shoot. Be sure of your target and what is beyond it.
Stretch time. We invite you to join in singing Take Me Out to the Ball Game.
Patches, get your patches here. Patriot Patch Company has all your favorite flavors. Tactical, Western, sci-fi, pop culture, hot and ready. Don't forget to wash it down with a Pro Gun Custom Screen Printed T-shirt. Available in sizes medium to 5XL. They're great for any occasion. Patches, get your patches at patriotpatch.co.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is that these 4 established rules, the NRA also has a list of 10 different rules, and then they've got another list of like 4, but these 4 rules are the baseline. They're the fundamentals that everybody really in the gun community has accepted, and they originated. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, finish. I thought you were closing out.
I am close. So anyway, they started at the guy that established them is his name is Colonel Jeff Cooper out of Gunsight. He is the guy that kind of pioneered self-defense, like tactical self-defense, from what I understand, and he or just for the the common man, the person, just the typical American gun owner, and he came up with this, and all of the training is based around that, basically at every reputable gun training outlet in the country.
Well, and the cool thing about these 4 rules and the way that Colonel Cooper designed them is that if you, for instance, if you have a failure at any of them or even 3 of them, but remember 1, then even getting 1 right in the case of like a negligent discharge or some, your finger brushes the trigger accidentally and the gun goes off. Well, if the gun is pointed in a safe direction where you're not going to strike anything that wasn't intended to be shot at to begin with, then it prevents tragedy, right? So
Yeah.
it's not pointed at another person, especially if you knew it was loaded or you didn't think it was, for instance, and go to dry fire and forgot to clear. Like rule number 1, all guns are always loaded. I actually learned that as always treat every gun as if it's loaded until you've shown that it isn't or verified that it's not. For instance, and I would say that like there's a term called dry firing. So if I want to familiarize myself with a pistol, let's say Glock pistol again, before I go to the range, and I want to dry fire 100 times a night for a week before I know I'm going to the range that weekend, I'm going to remove the magazine, check the rack the slide, check the chamber, make sure that it's empty before I close it and start doing my dry fire session. Because at that point, I am actually not treating it as if it's loaded for practice sake, for familiarity's sake, but because I have determined 100% that the gun is clear and safe. Now, still, even because of what's ingrained into me, I'm not going to walk around the house if somebody else is in the house dry firing and horse around and pretend that and point that gun at somebody else who is participating in some type of dry fire training or something like that. I just if kids, family members, whatever who's in the house, it's just not a great habit to be in.
And to take that a step further, if there's a bunch of, say I have a bunch of friends over and we're like, hey, I got a new gun. So if we're passing that gun around, it's everyone's job, as soon as they get that gun handed to them, to also check, also clear it.
Regardless of whether or not the person next to you showed you it was.
Right.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. And I'd like to add, too, that, I see a lot of people, especially, where I'm from, it's like, we grew up with guns. We know our way around guns. This is, it's no big deal. The thing is, like, even if a firearm is totally empty, you don't point it at anything you're not willing to destroy, because it's a habit, right? It's a force of habit that you want to maintain. And I'm not, the other night someone, gun was totally empty. We had cleared it and made sure and everything, but still it was pointing in my mom's direction. And I'm like, nope, we got to change that. Like, it's a habit. It's a habitual thing. I mean, just like Ebbs was outlining there, it's very, very important. And you may, if you're an experienced gun person, you may be rolling your eyes and you may be thinking, this is total overkill. You really don't need to do it. But it's not true, man. It is absolutely, like I see operators, like SEAL Team 6 does this. Like anytime I've gone to shoot with any of those high-level guys, this is what they do, and it is no joke. They take it very seriously. They expect you to be performing exactly the way that they do in terms of safety, and it's not somebody just being ridiculous or hypersensitive or whatever to the gun safety rules. This is how people stay alive, stay uninjured, and the important people take this stuff extremely seriously. So follow their lead.
And let me say along with that, comfortability leads to lackadaisical behavior, which leads to accidents. Think of any dangerous tool. You start to get lazy with the chainsaw, and you can draw any type of conclusion as to skip steps. You quit wearing eye protection, then you get a wood chip in the eye and you rub it and it scratches your eye, doing ridiculous ear repair to your eye, or you're not wearing chaps or like thick jeans and it kicks back, and the chain, you're wearing shorts and the chain gets caught in the meat of your leg instead of the chaps, okay, or you're not standing in the right spot and you're cutting a tree in half and it falls on you, or so it's that understanding that this is a tool, it's fun, it's effective, but is also dangerous in the wrong hands. And if you are not continually preparing your mind of how to handle it appropriately, then it's dangerous in your hands. And people in your immediate company, or even here, maybe even the best thing, and I think Jake and Natalie would probably agree with this wholeheartedly, if someone is teaching you to shoot and they're making you feel unsafe because they're flippant with it and the muzzle's going around and they're ignoring any of these 4 rules, walk away. Find somebody else to help you learn how to shoot, because what's going to sour you to firearms the fastest is getting shot while you're learning, okay? So just don't fear hurting someone's feelings when telling them you don't want to learn from them how to use a dangerous tool because they're overly confident and arrogant and they're no longer taking precautions.
That's right. Yeah, the gut check is critical.
Well, back a couple of years ago when I started Gun Guy Radio, I would take a lot of newer shooters out to the private range I shot at, and I made up this poster board with the safety rules on it, and I would always lay it down on the gun table. And every time, even though they've been there before, we'd all go over it, and also say that if anyone here has the right to call a ceasefire, a safety. If you see anything that's even makes you a little bit uncomfortable or feel unsafe, just say okay, raise your hand, say ceasefire, stop. Bring it to the attention. Don't feel like you have to be quiet just because you're a new guy or something.
No, I think that's such a good point. When I was at my concealed carry class this past weekend, one of the newer shooters, the slide was locked back and the gun was empty and it was clearly visibly empty, but he didn't have his barrel pointed downrange. He had it pointed, in the direction kind of the line, right? Ooh. I know. It was unsafe. And someone who was also kind of inexperienced but paid attention in class saw that and he stopped everything and corrected it. And and it was great. It was a great learning experience for everybody, and it was done in a very friendly manner. It wasn't condescending. It wasn't argumentative. It was totally cool. And the dude actually appreciated it. He was like, oh, okay, yeah, sorry, thanks, and he fixed it. So I like that point about stopping it, no matter what your experience level. Just do.
So let's move on. I see, Natalie, did you drop the bullet point kids in here?
Yeah, I did. This is something, obviously, all of us have kids here, and I'm the newest one to the group. But so this is something we're all very passionate about. But listen, kid safety, it's just so, fortunately, the incidence of children, finding guns and being injured or worse with found firearms, it has reduced dramatically over the past, few decades, actually. But, until it's at zero, our job's never done. So it's critical that we really know about storage, right? Safe storage is, sorry, I should look and see. Do we talk about that? It's not on the list right now. Okay.
We touched on storage a little bit last week. I think we have
okay.
I think we have an episode coming up too.
Well, look, you can't talk about it too much, right? So,
right.
So safe storage is really important. Now, people want to really, want to be able to access their firearms very quickly, and there are industry solutions to this issue, to the balance between safe storage and readily accessible firearms. Gun Vault makes a really a product that I really like. They've got tons of them, actually, several different models with different capacities. I use them in my home, and they're spring-loaded, and you have a little key code, or you can swipe it with your fingerprints. It doesn't reduce the accessibility. It doesn't make it slower necessarily. It's potentially going to save the life of, your kid or a kid that comes into your house. We all have kids that come into our house, whether it's nieces, nephews, neighbors, whatever. If you're going to keep your firearm loaded, and for self-defense purposes, you're probably going to do that. I certainly do. You want to make sure that you always have your firearm stored safely. And in addition to that, the National Rifle Association, NRA, and National Shooting Sports Foundation, NSSF, both have great programs if you want to teach your kids or any kids in your world about gun safety. The NRA's is called Eddie Eagle, and they're coming out with a lot of consistent content of, surrounding the Eddie Eagle programs. It's really, really, it's cool. It's good for young kids. And my siblings, my dad taught my siblings through Eddie Eagle when they were little, and they still can chant the mantra that, stop, don't touch, leave the area, tell an adult. And so it's really effective. It is. And then the NSSF has Project Child Safe, and they're advancing it. They just got a huge grant from the government, which is amazing, for Project Child Safe specifically. And they will send you free locks if you don't have a lock for perhaps it's your spare firearm that you don't, keep loaded all the time, but it's a cable lock. And then they've also got some more content that's coming out. So those are two things to keep on the horizon. And I don't care if you think you don't interact with kids, it is worth checking out because you will, and you need to know this stuff.
Absolutely. I just looked at the schedule, and about five episodes or so, it looks like we have gun storage myths exposed coming up. So we'll talk a lot more about safes and storage and stuff like that. And then I think we have an episode coming up just after Father's Day, teaching kids to shoot. So,
cool.
Well, I want to sign on for that one.
Awesome. Yeah, call me if you need me.
You just did. So, let's talk about ammo. I mean, a lot of people don't think about, you buy this new gun, and what kind of ammo do I put in this thing? What's 9mm Luger and what's 9mm? Is it all, some of this can be really confusing for new people.
Yeah, it's confusing for people who have experience. I mean, it really can be. I think Ebbs should tackle that one. Or start it out, if you don't mind.
I can start it out. Two different types of ammo. Let's say let's use concealed carry purposes just as our baseline example here. On the side of your firearm, for instance, if you have a Glock 19, I'm gonna hold up my Glock 19 here. This is actually a refrigerator magnet from Glock. But on the side, Glock 17, it says 9x19. Now, there's something funny about that because the most commonly addressed 9mm round, or what is called 9mm, is referred to by the metric measurement, the European round, which would be 9x19, 9x19, and then there's also 9mm Luger, which would be the most traditional name for the 9mm, and then there's 9mm Parabellum. And all of those are safe. All those names are safe to buy to run through your pistol. Now, there would be what I would call range ammo, and then there's what I would call personal defense or self-defense ammo. Range ammo is going to be the most cost-effective to practice with. You're going to be able to pick up 50 rounds of 9mm for probably anywhere between $9 and $15, depending on the brand, depending on what kind of case it has.
Depending on what state you live in.
Depending on what state you live in.
California.
And right now, I think like standard federal brass case 9mm I just saw at Walmart this week for like $11 for 50 rounds. So that's everything's pretty much leveled out with that. It's a fair price. Then and that's just going to be what's called a solid. That bullet is a copper jacketed lead bullet. Okay, so it's not designed to expand. It's just going to hit and travel through whatever you shoot at, whatever your target is. Then self-defense rounds are just meant to be kind of as gnarly as the title says, okay? They're designed to open. They're designed to cause damage. Basically, if you've made up your mind to shoot a would-be attacker, assailant, bad guy, whatever, you've made up your mind to shoot this person, now you're making up your mind to do as much damage as possible. And so a self-defense round opens up. It's designed to transfer a lot of energy, so meaning all of that kinetic energy, those foot-pounds that bullet's traveling with, you want to transfer that to the threat. And it's also intended not to pass through. Now, some are going to be more designed to shoot through layers of clothing, like winter-type stuff. That's super technical. Don't even need to think about that now. But the idea is for those rounds to stay in that target and inflict damage and do it well. You'll notice, and you're like, well, I don't know the difference of that. That doesn't make any sense, blah, 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 whatever. This guy's talking crazy. Again, he's going off on a tangent. Mm-hmm. The biggest difference that you'll notice is you're going to pay about $1 a round for that stuff, depending on the name brand, give or take a quarter on either side of that dollar, okay, or a couple quarters. And it's good to know, and it's good to make that investment to practice with on a smaller scale so you know how your concealed carry firearm behaves when you're running that through it, because that's what you want to have in it if stuff hits the fan. So that's good practice to be able to know how it behaves. But in terms of firearm familiarity, draw practice, and trigger time, the bulk or range ammo, the 25 to 30 cent a round or 20 cent a round 9mm stuff is going to be the easiest to start out with. It's also going to perform milder in most guns, meaning it's not as hot, it's not trying to hit something really hard. So in terms of recoil and, the abuse your hand and your wrist and things like that take are going to be minimized too. So that would be ammo. And then you could take those ammo principles and then apply them to anything else. You want to shoot really accurately with the 22, well, then you have your bulk range ammo, and then you have what's called match ammo, the stuff that's designed to be really accurate. You have a hunting rifle you're just wanting to learn to hunt. You're like, well, I don't know about the concealed carry stuff. I just want to become a hunter. So you get your rifle, you have your range ammo to kind of get it close and get familiar with the gun, and then you have your premium, your Vital Shock Federal Premium. So it sounds like a commercial, like Federal's a sponsor of the show or something, doesn't it? Or like a Barnes TSX or a Hornady SST or all these bullet tips. That are more expensive because there's so much technology that went into that transfer of energy, opening up a cavity. So,
and also the materials, right? Not just the technology.
Exactly right. So, because some of those are like you get into powder core stuff, they're not just throwing lead in, and as with all of those things, you can have tiers of pricing and expense, but the same principle applies as range ammo. Moment to shine ammo, okay? So that's the easiest thing to know. In terms of caliber, one, if you have a new firearm and you don't know what to get, talk to the person where you're buying it. They'll help you figure out. The box that the gun came in will also say so. And there are different variations of different calibers. A caliber is really only just the diameter of the bullet, okay? That determines what the bore is, which is the inside part of the barrel that the bullet travels through. So that would be in inches or millimeters. So you kind of have different ones depending on the round, but they're always going to match up. The side of the gun will have what are called roll marks or a stamp on the side of the barrel that will say, if you have a hunting rifle, it's going to say like 30-06 Springfield or 30-30 Winchester or 308 Winchester or 223 Remington or something like that.
We'll touch on shotguns too.
And shotguns, yeah. So those are going to come in gauges, which
or bores.
Okay, well, most commonly,
whatever. You're getting thorough. I'm just saying.
Is this thorough? I thought. I'm trying to think, Jake. I don't even know if I'm coming in right. This is kind of beginner stuff, so I don't want to speak so elementary that people feel like I'm insulting their intelligence, but at the same time.
Well, we could probably do a whole nother show just on this. I think some of the most important things you said. Look at the firearm, look at the gun, look for those marks. It's going to be stamped most likely with what caliber that ammo it takes is, and the gun store you bought it, if you bought it from a gun store, if you didn't, if you inherited it, if someone passed it down to you, something like that, where there's no box, there's no instruction manual, nothing like that, you may want to take it into a gun store and just ask them about it. Just be like, hey, you're real honest here. I just want to double check the correct ammo for this firearm. What do I get here? And they'll give you a brief education just like Ebbs did.
Yeah, it's really important. And actually, I think we need to touch specifically on like the 20 versus 12 gauge, because we're talking rifles and handguns, but a lot of people are buying their shotguns for their first gun because a lot of people consider that they'd be the most comfortable with that for their home defense. And the 20 versus 12 is a big thing. It's very, very important that you understand and to keep all of your ammo separate when you're loading it at the range and that kind of thing, because it can get, again, very dangerous if you're not being very, very thorough and very focused on what ammo you're loading into which gun, especially like say 357 versus the 38 special, knowing which gun can handle both and which guns can't, right?
Yes, correct. And also worth mentioning in line with that, with the shotguns, you don't just have like the bullet diameter. So like we talked about 9mm. So 9mm and 38 cal would be the functional equivalent size-wise, the diameter of the bullet. But in a 9mm, you have standard length for the cartridge that would be acceptable for the firearm. With shotguns, shotgun chambers are made to handle often multiple lengths of shells. So the most common length, say for like a 12 gauge, would be a 2 3/4 inch shell. However, when you start getting into magnum loads, which means basically what it sounds like, more powerful, you can have shotguns that can take a 3-inch and a 3.5 inch.
I think the rule of thumb there is just to think about Tom Selleck, really. I think it's just, when you think Magnum, you think awesome because it's Tom Selleck. So, it's the more awesome of all the rounds. I'm just
This is getting uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Tom Selleck is awesome. I'm sorry. He just is. It's like Chuck Norris, but better. But anyway, please continue.
Blasphemy.
It's not, man. That is Bible right there. Go ahead.
Gospel truth.
Well, okay, we could stick on ammo all day. Bottom line, do your research. Don't ask the guy at Walmart. Ask someone that knows what they're talking about. And manufacturer website may also be a good resource if you look up the exact model of your firearm. Manufacturer's website. But really, a good gun store can really set you in the right direction. Plus, they would have the ammo there for you to buy right then. So let's move on to transporting to the range. We talked about this a little bit last episode, but each state has different transportation laws, and when you're going to the range, you just want to make sure that you're following your state's laws. Some states are very specific on where you can have the ammo, where you can have the gun stored. Some states, you can't even have those in the same part of the vehicle.
California.
So you want to make sure you're up to date on that. Most times your state police website will have that information. The NRA also has some good information on that. Anyways, let's skip ahead. Places to shoot. Where am I going to take this new gun to shoot? There are many options.
One of my favorites when I moved to a new area a while back was the NSSF put out an app, like a range finder app, that allows you basically to search by zip code, and it will show you legit ranges. Now, this would be in terms of an organized shooting place where a lot of times there's a range safety officer on site to help oversee things, which I think for newer shooters is definitely not a bad thing at all to have close by. But the app, you can just go to your smartphone, and I think they have it for both iPhone and Android, and you just open it up, put in your zip code, and then it pulls up a map, and you can look at it like you would on Google Maps or something, tap on the pins, and it shows you the names, the contact information, and then you can call and say, hey, what's up with this? Here's who I am, here's what I'm hoping to do, can you give me more information? And so that helps sort out ones that are public ranges, maybe run by like a state wildlife department or conservation department or something like that, or also private members-only ranges that might have guest fees. So if it's your first time there, they let you pay $15 or $20 to basically use the range as a member for the day or for a couple hours, or like an indoor range even or something like that. Controlled environments are helpful, I think, to remove variables.
So that app is called Where to Shoot by
Yes.
the NSSF.
Thank you for the additional quality information.
I'm downloading it right now. I'll have to
Are you?
check that out.
It's pretty cool. But then there's state and federal land, which you have to kind of check both your state guidelines and federal guidelines for, because some areas allow firearms, some don't, and then some are integrated with hiking areas and recreational areas and stuff like that. So if there are other people potentially downrange, remember back to the 4 laws, always be sure of your target and what's beyond it. That can be a little more
specifically, you're looking for a backstop, like you're looking for a berm or something like that. Just to elaborate on what you're saying there.
Yes. Whether it be natural or man-made for that specific place. But then you determine your level of comfortability with the place. The more you get away from civilization, as it were, you'll find the more people, even people who are exercising their right to keep and bear arms and own and shoot, aren't necessarily in tune with or maybe respecting the safety of others as much as you would hope. And I don't say that just as a knock on any type of people in particular, because there are rednecks everywhere.
Right, and for the first timer out, I kind of venture to say you might want to avoid public land or even some public outdoor ranges.
Even some indoor ranges, I mean, I would go to a nice, beautiful outdoor range that has an RSO, really well regulated.
Yeah, someplace with a range safety officer, someplace maybe with a very good set guidelines of rules, so you don't get that quote unquote redneck out there that's saying, here.
I'm pretty sure that's racist.
Hold my gear, watch this.
No, I mean, I use redneck because I grew up a redneck and I didn't know. I mean, it was later on I found out that's what I was. So you talk about like rude awakening, cruel realization of, I did that. I didn't know.
But I love that. That's so honest, and me too. I mean, I absolutely. Oh my gosh, when I look at pictures, and I was so proud to take my first picture with me shooting the gun, and I'm like this. Like I did not know what I was doing. I didn't use proper anything. I was completely clueless, but I just wanted to learn. But I didn't seek out information. So if you're watching this video right now, you're far, far, far ahead of, well, both me and Ebbs for sure, and maybe Jake too. But it's very
Jake.
important. Yeah, it's important to pursue this knowledge. It really is. There's so much more information out there now. But this series is key.
So maybe download that app. Finding a mentor, a shooting mentor, can go a long way. Someone that's experienced and also safe. Can really lead you to good places to not only shoot, but the other things we talked about, the ammo, the transportation, the safety. Someone that's best case scenario. If you can find a shooting mentor, I would really encourage you to look for that.
Yeah, we almost completely avoided even saying that so far, really taking into consideration the person who's trying to learn or go at it on their own, or seek out information in the vast ocean of misinformation that is the internet. And that is, I mean, that was how I learned. That was how my dad learned. I was 9 years old and begging my dad to shoot and hunt, and he grew up in the city, and we had moved out into the sticks, and there was no baseline for, well, what age is it appropriate for like the kid to get into this? And that's for the show after Father's Day apparently, but that was a whole thing, and we ended up meeting this friend through church who, as far as we were concerned, was like Daniel Boone, lived in the woods, was a tracker, he had his house wasn't quite like the room Natalie is in right now, but there's deer heads everywhere. There's like mounted snakes, and he had a skunk in there. We're like, who mounts a skunk? This is crazy. But he was so excited about being able to bring somebody else along. We learned everything from him: archery, firearms, muzzleloaders, reloading. I mean, that was how we got our start entirely. And now, like, this is what we do. We work in this stuff. So you just never know to go out on a limb and say, you know what, like, can I tag along with you or sometime? Or just like sometimes it could start with a simple question about which box of ammo you need to be looking at for the specific gun that you have or something like that. Just don't be afraid to ask, because most shooters that I know or I've been around or spent time with or I've talked to are excited to share what they know and what they have learned so that we can add one more to our number.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
True story.
Absolutely. So final thoughts on this week's topic, Natalie.
Final thoughts. Oh, gosh. There's so much more to learn, so ask. Ask all the questions you need to. Like if you're in doubt about anything, I mean, email me, Natalie at Girls Guide to Guns, or anybody, any of the people that you see in this series, I'm sure would be more than happy to answer some of your questions. But good NRA instructors, range safety officers, of course. I would just really encourage people. I mean, we are just, as thorough as Ebbs was, and as much information as you've heard here, there really is. I mean, we could go on for days. So just continue to ask the question.
Absolutely. And Ebbs, final thoughts.
Just take your time. Just like any area of information that you would seek to study in your life, there's no way to learn everything in a day. And when we're talking about learning about something and operating something that is a tool at its core, an effective tool, but a dangerous tool if it's misused. Take your time, learn to respect them, and the enjoyment and the payback that you get as a result of just entering into that relationship cautiously will really pay off and prevent any accidents or souring or bad experience that you might have if you just rushed into it without enough information.
And I think if you're brand new and you're finding trouble, like you don't have any friends that shoot, like this is kind of a whole new world to you, but you really want to get into it, finding that shooting mentor may be a little bit tougher. So, I encourage you to check out, like some beginner classes, like the NRA basic pistol, some of the basic classes. You'll meet people there, and you'll meet the instructors. You'll meet people that know what they're doing, and maybe even checking out some of these ranges have open houses this time of year. You can check out the open house, maybe even join a range before you ever shoot. It's not that crazy. That way you get to know some good people, and they can set you on a good track.
That's good.
Yeah.
So next week we're talking. I need to clean my first gun because I went and shot it and got it pretty dirty.
You have someone other than me for that, right? Because I really don't clean my guns.
I do now. So that wraps up our main topic. So if you like what you hear, if you want to hear more Gun Guy Radio, if you want to support Pro Gun Radio, check out our Patreon campaign. I just revamped all the perks on it. Patreon.com/gun. It's a way you can crowdfund this and every episode of Gun Guy Radio. You can pledge as little as $1 per episode, and we'll send you some cool stickers. There's 2 different $5 levels where you can get a free shirt or a free patch. If you go up to the $8 level, you can hang out with us after some of the shows. There's another $8 level where we have these supply drop boxes full of swag and like cleaning kits and range bags and stuff like that. And $10 level where it's the Morale Patch of the Month Club. I'll send you 1 free morale patch from Patriot Patch every month. $12 level, we'll send you a free T-shirt once a month. And $15 ammo dump level, where we send you a big box full of cool stuff. So check it out, patreon.com/gun.
Machine gun shoots are the quintessential way to celebrate being an American. Come to the Stone Mountain Machine Gun Shoot on April 30th through May 1st to get your freedom on. Stone Mountain features a dedicated machine gun range spanning over 100 yards with a section for individuals to shoot their own. Don't own a machine gun? No problem. Machine gun rentals will be available. Interested in demoing the latest silencers from SIG Silencers, Silencer Co., Liberty Suppressors, and other top brands? Then come see our silencer range nestled in the hills of Stone Mountain, where you can try before you buy. Oh, there's more. Is engaging targets while flying down a zip line something you ever wanted to try? We've got you covered. You'll be able to demo some of the newest guns and silencers on the market. For more information, visit stonemachinegun.com. Brought to you by the Shooter's Gauntlet and the Firearms Industry Consulting Group. Gun Guy Radio says thank you and proudly displays artwork and graphics designed by Ryan Cross of Hunter of Design. hunterofdesign.com.
Natalie, where can people connect with you online?
You can find me at girlsguidetoguns.com. I promise I'll start posting again. And also Facebook, of course, Girls Guide to Gun, as well as Instagram. And technically there's a Snapchat account and such, but... Oh man, I'm feeling old with social media right now. But anyway, yes, you can find me online. I'm there, and please don't hesitate to chat. I would love to talk to you.
Very cool. Ebbs, where can people connect with you online?
I'm House of Guns everywhere, Haus of Guns. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, recently on Snapchat as Everyday Ebbs, EBBS, Everyday Ebbs. So common, boring, everyday life stuff, singing along to Metallica, arguing with my daughters, and wrestling with my dog. So it's pretty good time. If you're into that entertaining type media, it's pretty good. It's free too. So
very cool. You can connect with me through the Firearms Radio Network Facebook page and Gun Guy Radio Facebook page, and Firearms Radio on Instagram, and all the Patriot Patch social media, Facebook, Instagram. I signed up for Snapchat. I still haven't figured it out. I feel you, Natalie.
Yeah, right there with your solidarity, man.
Remember to subscribe to us on iTunes or however else you listen to the program. There's some other great podcatcher apps out there if you're having issues with iTunes or the Apple Podcast app. There's some technical glitches out there that are affecting some listeners. Check out some of the other podcast apps like Downcast. They work great and always have. Please consider joining the NRA and the Second Amendment Foundation. And don't forget to check out all the other awesome shows here on the Firearms Radio Network. And also shop our Amazon affiliate link, firearmsradio.tv/Amazon. Well, thank you, Natalie.
Yeah, thanks, Jake. Good to see you.
Thank you, Ebbs.
Yes, Jake, it's a pleasure to be here.
And that's a wrap. We'll see you next week.
This has been a production of the Firearms Radio Network. You can find more information at firearmsradio.tv. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, did he fire 6 shots or only 5? Now, to tell you the truth, I kind of forgot in all this excitement. But being this is the Guns of Hollywood podcast on the most popular pro-gun podcast network in the world and will blow your eardrums clean out, you've got to ask yourself a question. Have you subscribed yet? Well, have you, punk? gunsofhollywood.com or search Guns of Hollywood on iTunes or your favorite podcatcher app. Punk.